My wife and I are really struggling financially and moved in with my mom to help us get back on our feet. I know it hasn't been easy on her, but I just can't believe what she did. So, my stepsister is getting married and wouldn't invite my mom as her and her siblings hate her. My stepfather refused to attend without my mom, and it was a whole big thing. I think his kids thought he was going to cave because he was always a pushover with them. But he meant it and didn't go to the wedding. I'm sure it hurt him, but he comes from a pretty toxic patriarchy culture, and he isn't going to openly show his emotions. My wife was upset on the day of the wedding as she believes kids should always come before your spouse, and that his behavior is disgusting. I don't disagree, but it also isn't our business. My wife took some pictures of him the day of the wedding to show my stepsister that he wasn't sad enough. He was just hanging with my mom, and in one of the pictures he is laughing, but I find this extremely uncomfortable for a few reasons. It is creepy and invasive to spy on people and take their pictures. They aren't even properly dressed in some of them. Like in one, I can very clearly see his dick as he is just wearing his boxers. And no, he doesn't walk around the house like that. In another, my mom appears to be wearing his shirt with nothing under it. So it is just weird. Also, we are guests in their home. Well, his daughter sent him the pictures and said she was glad he had his horror to comfort him. He realized what my wife had done and blew up. He called us ungrateful leeches, called her a bitch, and he threw our clothes all over his lawn. I'm furious. Living with them was such a great opportunity to rebuild financially, and she just ruined it. I lost it and shouted last night that it is all her fault. And what the fuck did she think was going to happen? She is furious and says I had no right to speak to her like that, regardless of what she did. Ada for telling all my family that if I'm babysitting, there are no rules. My family tends to stick me, F18, with my nieces and nephews when we get together. I am also the go-to for babysitting. I do not get paid for this because since my siblings watched me when I was little, I owe them. I don't really mind. I love all the kids and they are well-behaved and polite. With me at least, because I don't put up with their shit. I established dominance early with all of them. I also have no shits to give when it comes to the rules regarding watching them. I would never allow them to get hurt or anything. I just won't follow a huge list of rules. If you want your kid to eat vegan, then you better bring a vegan meal for them. Otherwise they get pizza, or Dino nuggets, or hot dogs. If they aren't allowed to watch woke movies or TV, then it's up to you to provide a TV and media, because I'm putting on Frozen or something. My parents keep telling me that I have to follow the rules when I'm babysitting. I just keep asking why. What's the worst anyone can do to me? Take away my free babysitting. Oh, poor me. We are in Jasper right now, and it's been hot as balls. So I took the kiddos cliff jumping at Horseshoe Lake. I brought them back wet and filthy. Everyone told me that I was being a shit babysitter. I offered a full refund. Then I went and got a beer with some friends I made at the lake. I have a full scholarship. When I turned 18, I also got a small inheritance. It's enough that I won't have to work for spending money during my university years and put a down payment on a house. I'll probably leave it though. I literally do not need financial help from my family, so they have no hold over me. My sibling and I all got the exact same inheritance, except I was only 3 when my grandmother passed away. So it's been collecting compound interest for almost 20 years. My trust fund is about 4 times what my siblings each got. My family thinks I'm being an entitled ass, but they also won't pay me. I am more than willing to follow any rule I am paid to follow. Ada for refusing to let my in-laws see my daughter after what they did during her birth. I, 29, F, recently gave birth to my first child, a beautiful baby girl named Lily. My husband, 32 AM, and I have been over the moon. But our joy was ruined by an incident with my in-laws that I can't get over. For context, my ML Karen, 58F, and FL Bob, weight 60M, have always been overbearing and intrusive, but my husband and I have tried to keep the peace. Throughout my pregnancy, Karen constantly criticized my choices, from my diet to my birth plan. She insisted on being in the delivery room, which I firmly declined. She threw a fit, claiming she had every right to be there as the grandmother, but I stood my ground. When I went into labor, my husband and I headed to the hospital. Everything was progressing normally until I was about to start pushing. That's when the door burst open, and Karen and Bob barged in, having lied to the nurses to gain access. I was in the middle of a contraction in immense pain, and suddenly had my in-laws in my face shouting encouragement and trying to film the birth on their phones. I was mortified and enraged. I screamed at them to get out, but they refused, saying they had a right to be there. My husband tried to get them to leave, but they wouldn't budge. The nurses and the other hospital staff had to physically remove them from the room. This caused such a commotion that my labor stalled, and I ended up needing an emergency C-section due to the stress and delay they caused. After Lily was born, Karen and Bob were unapologetic. They actually had the nerve to post about the birth on social media, including pictures they took during the chaos, without our consent. They announced her name and details before we had a chance to, and even worse, they shared a picture of me they clicked while I was in the delivery room earlier, before the emergency C-section, trying to push. I was pissed and heartbroken. This was supposed to be a private, special moment for my husband and me, and they completely violated that. I decided then and there that they wouldn't see Lily until they showed genuine remorse and apologized. When we got home from the hospital, they demanded to visit. I told them they were not welcome and explained why. Karen blew up, saying I was being cruel and bitch, denying them their rights as grandparents. My husband is supportive, but torn because they are his parents. They've since started a smear campaign against me to the rest of the family, painting me as the villain who's keeping their grandchild away for no good reason. Now, I'm getting calls and messages from extended family from husband's side, accusing me of being heartless and unforgiving. They say I should put it behind me for the sake of family harmony, but I can't. Also, my husband's two sisters are saying that if they were kind enough to forgive me after I threw a hissy fit and embarrassed and insulted them by getting them thrown out or the delivery room, then I should forgive them too. Every time I think about what they did, I get so angry and upset. I don't trust them, and I don't want them around my daughter until they truly understand and regret the pain they caused. Ada for refusing to let my in-laws see my daughter after what they did during her birth,